My name's Paul Saunders. I'm the founder of New Music Lives. I've been in the music business for the greater part of the last 40 years. My passion has worked for a major label. I've owned my own label. I've been a tour manager, an artist manager. I've even been a roadie for the mighty Emerson, Lake and Palmer back in the day, the supergroup. I had a radio career starting on a pirate radio ship. And then I worked for the BBC in England. I came to the US 21 years ago and worked at KQMT, Denver's top classic rock station, before being syndicated from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. So I've done it mostly all before, but more than enough, I've realized that, as Prince said, slavery is alive and well in the new music industry. And I'm happy to let big music continue their shameful, self-serving, pay the artist last and least way of doing business, because it perfectly proves that the 5 million singer-songwriters there are out in the English-speaking world deserve New Music Lives as a better way to create their music careers. New Music Lives is focused on providing singer-songwriters with proven strategies, systems and support, innovative tools and techniques for them to connect, engage, and enroll their listeners to become fans, and for those fans to become sustaining and supporting super fans. My unshakable philosophy is really, without doubt, does it serve the singer-songwriter and their fans? That's the real business of the music business. So as John Lennon and Paul McCartney said in 1968, you say you want a revolution? Well, we all know we'd love to change the world. Let's do it together. New Music Lives believes that for singer-songwriters, the music business isn't working. It's time to change that. It's past time to change that. New Music Lives brings about that change. Our mission is to transform the music business so that it works for singer-songwriters for the first time ever. There are 5 million English-speaking singer-songwriters. That number is a little hard to define as they're all independent, and our target is to reach 2 million of that market, around 100,000 solo music artists. Hey, we get the singer-songwriters' music heard. We help listeners become fans, and fans become super fans who contribute recurring monthly revenue to the artist. Singer-songwriters are independent music artists. They love to write, they love to play and perform. Most of them are not business-minded, and they don't really want to be. So New Music Lives provides the medium, the method, and the means for them to create their successful career. Our Tip 4 system allows the live audience to digitally tip the artist during the show. Our QR code-driven app is linked to our back-end technology, and we then work to convert the audience into a fan and the fan into a super fan. So New Music Lives only makes money after the artist makes money. Yes, shocking, I know. We get paid last. Our secret sauce, our New Music Lives Tip 4 system for artists generating revenue and securing fan engagement at every show, no matter how big the crowd. Our custom QR codes can be printed onto posters, coasters, business cards, and stickers, and more. So the artist plays and performs, we take care of the rest. So why does a fan become a super fan? A super fan is a true fan, one that supports the artist with a passion. A super fan is the one that if the artist...
You guys remember the Gong Show? This feels like someone just pulled him off stage.
No, I want to party with this guy, though. I got to tell you immediately.
I've spent a few days with him. You wait till you really get to know him.
Oh, I love him.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer were awesome.
Right?
Hey, yeah. Let's do it.
It's a right market, too.
Okay, let's try this.
So you're just going to have to continue from where you left off. We can't start again, but we were trying to get your attention.
We're loving it, by the way. My nephew is a singer-songwriter, so, you had me at hello.
Okay, I'll pick it up. So why does a fan become a super fan? Put simply, they're the true fans. They're the ones that artists care about. They're the ones that if the artist says how high, the fans will, if the artist says jump, the fan will say how high. For a super fan subscription of $10 a month, they get a personal relationship with the singer-songwriter. They get preferred seating and backstage passes to performances, the super fan letter for updates, invitations to live online song circles where they can be part of the process and involved in new releases, reward coupons from the artist merchandise store, a personal thank you from the artist, a gift subscription to our TV channel, newmusiclives.tv, and a chance to host house concerts. And that's something we passionately believe in terms of why the future of independent artists depends on the fan relationship. Our competitive analysis is that there are really limited competition with limited services and technology. Most services require the artist to pay up front. Patreon, with its 250,000 creators, is the most similar service, but it lacks the focus we have on the singer-songwriter sector. With New Music Lives, the artist is always paid first. The total market, as I've mentioned, is around 5 million singer-songwriters. Our goal is to reach 100,000 of them, or 2% of the total market. We expect only 10% of the artist's fan base to ever become super fans. So on the fan side, 90% of the artist's fans will not become subscribers. We'll work with the artist to help them grow to 1,000 super fans and beyond. So tip 4 is our completely free singer-songwriter methodology for them to be able to take digital tips at a show. We then work behind that to convert those tippers into fans and those fans to super fans. Our website is promoted through multiple social media strategies, and our TV channel, newmusiclives.tv, is on all of the major TV channels, Roku, Apple, Fire TV, all of those sources, to promote those artists to new potential fans worldwide. Our financials, this one's a difficult one for us, but our target is 2% of the market, 100,000 singer-songwriters with 10% of the artist fan base becoming super fans. But I'll break it down a little smaller. 1,000 singer-songwriters with 1,000 super fans, each is 1 million super fans, or a gross monthly revenue of around $10 million. We give 70% of that to the singer-songwriter and retain 30%. And this excludes any additional profit centers we'll bring in: events, online radio, digital TV, in-store music licensing, distribution, merchandising. We want to work through it all. Do we have a team together that can do this? Yes. I come from a long-standing music marketing background. I've been in the industry 40 years. My web developer is experienced. My John Milton Fogg is a million-selling author who has already disrupted the direct sales industry by selling 2 million copies of a book called The Greatest Networker in the World. George Shue comes from a background at BMI, the biggest licensing authority for music. And Sandy is a performer, an artist, and passionate administrator, because I need someone to dot my I's and cross my T's. Kalyan Dial takes care of our systems development, so we believe we have a fairly rounded structure. The ask is that New Music Lives is seeking $2 million in initial investment. The key uses of these funds to finish and complete our MVP, and then build out our scalable infrastructure and cloud operation. Of course, marketing and, more importantly, member and artist support will be the biggest and most important part of this, because, as I say, we're passionately about artists first. We have to bring some other key hires, CTO, CFO, and so on, into the process. Where does this leave us in terms of exit strategy? I believe we will be likely purchased by a much larger company in the music space, or will seek to exit as an IPO. Both options, of course, will be based on a valuation calculated by the number of singer-songwriters and superfans we have. Singer-songwriters, the music isn't working. It's time for change. It's past time. Let's change it together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. Your passion and knowledge is catches on with all of us, and it comes through glowing. And being a roadie must have meant that Paul has a great attitude and is a pleasant to be around, because they don't keep those guys around if they're not. And I have to say, firsthand experience working with Paul over the last several weeks has been wonderful. So panelists, any questions for New Music Lives and Paul?
Yeah, Paul, that was great. I think your domain expertise just shines through, and that's a huge advantage. Then when you go into the let's call it software application space, as you're doing, and I've actually done some investing in the music business around this sort of artist dislocation that you're trying to solve. I think it's a great idea, and it's going to be a lot harder. Probably, you're so close to the industry, you know how it goes. But I think getting the adoption is going to be a real challenge, and getting the word out and getting above the noise that's out there for this space. But I really like the team you put together and your background and passion around it. And there's a lot of artists that are going to say, yeah, you know, I have good talent, I have good content. How do I monetize it? Or I'm being told this is the deal, and that sucks, right? So you're solving a real problem. I think the biggest challenge, you got to build the product has got to be great, and that's almost table stakes in any of these deals. Then the market adoption is probably the biggest thing to think about. And there's a lot of people out there you can also bring in to your group to help you think through that. But good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, great. You know, you got to imagine in the future world, there's no friction between an artist in any form, a artist, a singer, whatever, and their constituents. It's just a QR code, and we're going to facilitate whatever relationship, and monetization wheels will come from that. So home run is going to be the future. There's no question about it.
Thank you.
Exactly as Curtis said, this is especially in an untapped area like this is a big stakes game. If Bruce Springsteen came out and said, oh my God, you want to have direct relationship with me and have a blockchain relationship that's going to allow me to give you my first songs and be able to do click here, you're going to get 1 million people in 2 seconds. And so the cost of building the momentum here is a real deal. And I think you're right. Ultimately, everybody is going to play in that kind of breakdown of those walls. So you're in the right space. It's artist adoption, it's first mover advantage. It's it's a play.
Yep.
Yeah, I think just piling on that, actually one of my portfolio companies is in the generative AI music creation space. And so it's very top of mind. It's hard. It's hard. You got to think about differentiation in a big way and think, about bringing the artist to the people, right? Versus the people to the artist. And, there are a lot of interesting metaverse kind of opportunities, that could bridge, the gap there. The fundamentals of the idea, spot on. I don't think anybody would say anything different. But just really think about that, that differentiation, because there's United Masters, there's all of these different, types of organizations that are, trying to make everybody, who's a singer songwriter a big deal, a la TikTok. And there's just a lot of noise in the market, and you got to really think about that differentiation.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. My primary focus is, because we go after the much smaller artists, largely the industry is ignoring them, or it perceives them as chum to a certain extent. I wrote an article about 20 years ago that said, so now you're in the ocean, be careful, it's full of sharks. The industry mistreats the younger artists, and that way they can strengthen themselves by the relationship with their fans.
That they'll be early adopters because they're going to want that and expect that. Yep. And you're going to leverage that in your branding, et cetera, but it ends up ultimately becoming a numbers game too. And that's where the scale comes in.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's why I know we don't have to reach a very large portion of the market to be a noise and to be a step into it. And any artist that receives money from us is going to tell other artists that they know anyway. So, because that's the way the world spreads.
Yeah, I wouldn't, throw it. I know it's a hairball thing, but if you've got the relationships and the wherewithal, bring a big name in with you. Bring a brand in who has a vested interest in being a mouthpiece for this.
Yes, we're actually doing that. We're talking to Gail right now, who has 268 million TikTok viewers.
Find leverage points.
A wonderful advice where I was going to go. The great news with great domain expertise, Paul, is you have a super deep network, which most people don't have when they're just starting out. So tapping into that to get 1 or 2 artists on and create that momentum is kind of where the flywheel starts. But awesome. Great work. Love the pitch. Love the energy. And thank you so much.